In the history of the world, has there ever been a podcast dedicated to professional football and professional wrestling? Maybe. Anyway, this is the Wrestling with Football podcast with Matt Simone and Grant Sawyer.
And welcome to another episode of the Wrestling with Football podcast, the Thanksgiving edition here. I'm joined, as always, by the technical director of the CWF Mid-Atlantic wrestling promotion based out of Gibsonville, North Carolina. Thanks for joining me again, Grant Sawyer.
Thank you very much, Matty. I hope there's a lot of quality wrestling to talk about this week, because there's not a lot of quality football to talk about.
Well, that's for sure, and we're definitely going to get to the wrestling of this past weekend. Actually, we should just go ahead and jump to it right now. CWF held its Ultimate Survivor event, which is your take on the Survivor Series, more or less, which also took place this past weekend.
Yeah, we originally started the whole Ultimate Survivor concept back in that era when WWE essentially had stopped running true elimination matches at the Survivor Series. And of course now, we got a pretty healthy slate for us on Friday and WWE on Sunday.
I mean, yeah, you got to say for WWE, I mean, it was all Survivor Series matches for the most part, and I didn't have any problem with the setup of the whole entire show, because on paper I was like, okay, now this looks like a damn Survivor Series. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun.
Getting back to the CWF, how did everything go? What was how was the turnout and the overall product?
I believe running on Friday night hurt the attendance a little bit as opposed to past years when we were on Saturday. But I mean, the crowd that was there, they were still hot, they were still great. We saw the CZW Invaders come down again, teaming alongside the Dawsons and doing a clean sweep against the CWF baby faces of Aaron Biggs, Mecca Mercenary, Dirty Daddy, and Snooty Fox. There's a lot of in-ring drama last Friday night, and so some injuries and whatnot. We saw we had an ambulance at the building for a portion of the show, as a Snooty Fox suffered a pretty severe concussion during that one, to the point he did not know much. He could have been at the Survivor Series for all he knew.
Wow.
But yeah, hopefully he was still at the Greensboro Hospital on Saturday or Sunday, actually getting checked out and whatnot. But hopefully he'll be up and going again before long.
Wow. Well, that is something that I didn't read about. I perused over the results, and I saw that despite the clean sweep, the ZCW guys and the Dawson brothers, they still could not get along in the end, which as a wrestling fan, I absolutely love that. You've seen Survivor Series bad guy teams win in the past, but never back then did the Visionaries all start, infighting. Of course, they had another match to wrestle later in the evening, but regardless, I'm going on a little tangent.
Yeah, it was one of those things like, you see heels steal the pin sometimes, but in this case, Dave Dawson hits Aaron Biggs with the backdrop driver, and then Dan O'Hara comes in and gives his own partner a shot with the tag team title belt to knock him out and then steal the pin. So it wasn't just a simple stealing the pin, it was a big FU and then steal the pin. Right,
exactly. Well, I'm glad that another Ultimate Survivor is successfully in the books. I hope, who was it that got concussed? Was it the guy that used to wrestle back in the 60s?
No. This was his partner, Snooty Fox.
Oh, Snooty Fox, the Snooty Fox, the dude from Chapel Hill, correct? I familiarized. Actually, he was involved in one of my favorite matches from the CWF in 2016. That of him and White Mike Jordan.
Sure.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely loved that match.
White Mike, of course, was involved in the 16-man Torneo Cybernetico elimination match, which was always just a half hour of sheer entertainment. Definitely,
Sure.
It had all, just so many fun personalities in that match, and it was just a treat. I love that match. That's my favorite Survivor match year in and year out.
Yeah, the Cybernetico. I mean, competing in a Cybernetico or just watching one, it's always fun, even if, it's a thrown together Cybernetico as a featured attraction on an event, not necessarily at an Ultimate Survivor, but when you guys need to get something done, you got to have a reason for someone to cut through a bunch of opponents in one night in order to vie for a title or a shot at something and have the people believe, yeah, okay, he deserves this, he did that, but it's also fun too when you just get a bunch of guys in there and you're like, okay, we got an extra 10 guys here, so we're just gonna have a 5-on-5 Cybernetico that's gonna be super fast paced and not end up being an hour, but more of a condensed version, which I've experienced before personally in the ring. But yeah, it's always fun. And speaking of Cyberneticos and staying on the pro wrestling, have you seen the main event for the Chikara Pro season finale?
I have not. Are they bringing theirs back?
For the first time, to my knowledge, now I need to go back further. I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, that this is the very first time a Cybernetico has been the main event of the entire season.
Sure.
So much has gone down in 2016. It's only right that you throw in 16 people to help close out and start new stories. I do believe that in this matchup, and this is just me speculating, Heidi Lovelace and Princess Kimberly's, that's all going to come to a head. From what I've seen so far, I'm about 3 months out of the finale. I'm in August right now. I haven't gotten to trios yet, but I'm close, and I can't wait to get to that. But yeah, the main event is the whole Naz Muldoon squad. Hallowicked is the team captain, Hallowicked the grand champion, who has done everything there is to do in Chikara Pro but win a Cybernetico. So he's got his whole crew, including Jigsaw, and of course Jigsaw is the newest member, but the oddest member of the whole entire team is Mark Angelo Setti. And how they showed him get overtaken by the spirit of Naz Muldoon or whatever is pretty awesome, because it's something out of a horror movie and it didn't happen in ring. So I'm excited to see them. And plus, Frightmare the night before has a Luchas de Apuestas match with Amasis. So somebody's leaving early that afternoon, I should say, without their masks. So this match could be Frightmare's first match in Chikara Pro not wearing the mask. So that team alone it's very interesting to see what's going to happen with them. And of course, Dasher's team is the cavalcade of baby faces, the top baby faces in Chikara. If you think about a popular baby face, they're on the team, except for Eddie Kingston, who has yet to be announced for any matches thus far. So I'm super excited about that. But let's just move on now and get this out of the damn way. Week 11 in the NFL for Grant Sawyer and myself sucked. It was bad. This might have been the worst week of the entire year for me. I don't know about you. The Eagles have now dropped 5 games, and a couple of those losses were ugly, but this one was rough. Because all of their problems now are just they're glaring, and not just to Eagle fans now, but they're glaring to the other teams, and they are taking advantage of it. The Packers on Sunday night, after the Eagles shit the bed in Seattle, the Packers travel to the Redskins, who I was like, man, the Packers are going to beat them. The Redskins aren't as good as I think that they are. But guess what? The Redskins are way better than I thought they were. And I guess kind of sort of like the Eagles, I felt like the Packers' defensive flaws were really attacked last night.
Oh, yeah. It was unquestionably as bad, as embarrassing of a loss as I can remember in the Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers era. I mean, there's been more heartbreaking one in the playoffs, of course, but as far as getting embarrassed in primetime on national TV to what I consider to be an inferior team, which is obviously not inferior.
Of course.
An absolutely pathetic performance. Aaron Rodgers showed flashes of being able to turn it on and just, like, make some plays, but then the defense, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about the defense. Quentin Rollins was, my God, like, I mean, he was such a glaring draft mistake at this point, and maybe it's just because, like, we're so depleted, but, like, Jesus, did that secondary get exposed in ways I've never seen it exposed in years.
Yeah, and this wasn't even by, like, their burner, Deshaun Jackson. You know, he got him the first time, but it wasn't like a bomb down the field. Crowder and Garcon both got them there was like 3 huge passes. And Kirk Cousins last night looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers without maybe, moving the ball with his legs. But honestly, the past few weeks that I've watched the Packers, I feel like the only way that they can move the damn ball is if Aaron Rodgers takes off for 39 yards and gets them going, and he can't do that, but for, he can't do it much longer. They got to figure their shit out there. And last night it was just, Rob Kelly, the running back in for the Redskins, man, he's a very easy back on film for me. Personally, I think he's a very easy back to, cover, because what he does is he just basically kind of Le'Veon Bells it. He never goes all the way to the outside. He'll stop right at either the tackle or the tight end and just kind of ease his way through a gap if he can, picking and choosing where he goes. But, when he took off last night, it was like a sick feeling inside, because I'm watching the Redskins, just simply dominate an NFL team, which I haven't watched them do in quite a long time. And secondly, I started Rob Kelly on a whim in my fantasy league, and that ended up winning me the game. So I hate having Cowboys, Giants, or Redskins on my fantasy team because it's not going to taste as sweet if I end up getting into the playoffs and beyond with one of them kind of, or riding on the productivity of one of those players. But anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. So yeah, week 11, for the Eagles and the Packers, it were horrible. This is the first time I'd ever gone online and read people say fire Mike McCarthy for me. Now, you may have seen it before too, because you're always kind of looking at Pack News, but I just had to look last night just because I was interested, and knowing that we were probably going to be recording tonight, I just wanted to see what people are saying, and they were like, fire Mike McCarthy. I'm like, no, you don't fire Mike McCarthy. This is just one bad regular season game. They have a chance to get back this Monday night, which we're going to get to. But what are your thoughts on, like, all the people kind of, because you never see Pack fans get super mad. They were like cussing last night, and that was crazy.
Yeah, I was completely disgusted watching it. But yeah, I on my Twitter followers, I follow far more Packer fans than I probably should, and it's a pretty regular thing. Even like last year, there's always a percentage of the fan base that are calling for either Mike McCarthy or Ted Thompson to get fired. And I don't think Ted Thompson should be fired at all, because he drafts so well. But it feels like, okay, first off, I don't think anyone should ever get fired just for the sake of firing. But at the same time, I think there is something to be said for just needing a change. And I think a change would do someone like Aaron Rodgers a lot of good. But at the same time, if someone like Sean Payton isn't out there, then I'm not ready to pull the trigger on Mike McCarthy either. Like, Sean Payton is the one that I just think is far and away the perfect matchup if the Saints ever decide to get rid of him.
Well, last year was I think the chance for that, at least in the near future. Which I feel you, man. I wanted Sean Payton to come to Philadelphia and bring Drew Brees with him. And right now that probably sounds pretty sweet, but at the same time, I don't even know if Drew Brees can make anything out of our piece of shit wide receivers. Did you know that when Russell Wilson caught that touchdown pass from Doug Baldwin, which was a beautiful play, he had more receiving yards than all of our wide receivers combined?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Nelson Aguilar is the talk of the town this morning in Philadelphia, number 17, who has a drop, I think, in every single game he's been targeted. He's given us, I think, 8 yards over the last 4 weeks, something like that. I heard that today, and I was like, wow. I mean, that's shitty drafting. Cut him. That's a Chip Kelly kid. Cut him. I guess. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I guess I didn't mean to cut you off, but the one saving grace, I guess, for us is that we did kind of fluke into this whole Christine Michael thing after Seattle released him, but he was still inactive for us. I guess they're just I understand that maybe he doesn't know the playbook yet, but we have no one in the backfield. It almost feels like I don't care if he doesn't know the playbook, just get brother in there.
I mean, I think Ty Montgomery is fine, but he's not like a running back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, that's frustrating. And I mean, Jarrett Cook looked shitty as hell last night. He caught a touchdown pass, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of that catch he had there, he fumbled the fumble at the end of the game. I mean, which is kind of the last thing we all remember. But
he had the embarrassing drop in the end zone. Well, it wasn't even a drop. He had the brain fart in the end zone earlier.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. When he didn't turn around, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. He might have thrown it a little behind him, but he wanted to keep it out of the linebacker's hands, basically. Yeah. That was a bad play. And y'all ended up kicking a field goal there, right? On that drive? No, or was it when he hit Jordy in the back of the end zone and he didn't catch that ball? That was a gift. I mean, his reaction right after was like, shit, I dropped it, and they said touchdown, and I was like, wow. And then they went and they reviewed it, and from every angle, it's such a bang-bang play. It was either going to go one way or the other. And at the end of the day, those types of things, tie goes to the wide receiver, unless you're Dez Bryant.
But Dez was not in the end zone. That's the difference.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. So looking at the rest of the slate for Week 11, the Vikings losing streak is over.
Good Lord.
And they beat another team that really, what the hell happened to Arizona this season, man? I mean, they've kind of they look a lot like the Packers, Carson Palmer is getting his ass kicked this year.
I have no doubt the Cardinals are better than us this year. I don't care what the record is.
Though their defense, definitely, I would give them the nod on that. But their offense has been, kind of touch and go, it seems, and in all of their losses thus far this season. None of the other games really stand out to me, other than the Rams just totally their defense played for 3 quarters and then they stopped playing. And now
how many yards did that team have? It felt like they didn't have 100 yards for the game.
But the Dolphins have won 5 in a row. The Dolphins.
I don't care. It's just an aberration. The Dolphins are not real.
Yeah, I just it just blows my mind. So thank goodness Week 11 is now out of the way. For me too. That was my worst fantasy football bye week. Both of my starting running backs had byes. My starting kicker had a bye. I still managed to score 90+ points, but it was getting kind of scary there for a minute. You're playing fantasy football this year, right?
Yeah, I have a buddy that always sends me the invite every year, but I don't go hardcore like I used to.
Oh, right.
So I'm like something ridiculous. I'm like 7-3 or something and barely paying attention.
Right. It's just what you ended up with in the draft, I guess, and you're still rolling with those guys. Is it Is it an 8-man league? Because those are
10.
Those are the easiest. Well, 10 too. Those are the easiest to like not pay any attention to, because every team is stacked for the most part. The only way you can really lose more than 6 games all season is if you overthink the room. And I kind of did too, because I didn't start Aaron Rodgers or Randall Cobb or James Starks. I have all 3 of them against the Redskins. I went with Ben Roethlisberger, who had a really bad day. They won 23-9 in Cleveland. I watched almost that entire game. It didn't. That was not a 23-9 game, folks. That was bad. That was bad football. There's a lot of bad football yesterday all around the league. But moving towards Week 12, what's good about it? It's Thanksgiving football. Football on Thanksgiving is a tradition that brings together everyone, every family that are getting together for Thanksgiving dinner. It doesn't matter if they're football fans or not. Everyone ends up watching football and probably ends up watching just some amazing play or a game to go along with it. What's bad? Well, between Grant and myself, people, we have to sit through the Vikings, Lions, Redskins, Cowboys, and Steelers, and I guess the poorest Colts team in a pear tree. I guess if either the Bears, Giants, or Browns were a part of the day's action, it'd be what we'd get for living and dying by the Eagles and Packers, respectively. Do you agree?
Yeah, but I mean, like, regardless, even taking the Packers out of the equation, this is the worst Thanksgiving slate I can possibly ever remember. And now Andrew Luck's not even going to play for the primetime game.
Oh, my gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah, Scott Tolzien.
Wow.
I think that's who they announced.
So he got, what, did he get hurt in the game yesterday against Jacksonville? A concussion?
Yeah, they're not. He's likely not going to be cleared for the concussion. It's not completely official, but essentially he's not going to be cleared by the concussion protocol by Thursday.
Sure. And on top of that, like, not only are we smacked in the face with just this shitty football on Thanksgiving, to make matters even more irritating, we have to watch the worst single day of the NFL season before our lackluster squads duke it out in what I have deemed Depression Bowl 2016, sponsored by Xanax. Monday Night Football, Week 12, Green Bay at Philadelphia, which is going to be an awful game. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah, like, since the Vikings and Lions play one another, our best case scenario is to be 2 games behind the division lead with 5 to go, and that's if we win.
Yeah, and the Eagles at 5-5 are pretty much in the same situation. We need the Redskins to beat the Cowboys. Obviously, we need the Giants to get beat by the Browns. Yeah, it's just, crap bag scenarios. I mean, just all in all, man, everything this coming Sunday, Thanksgiving weekend, these games are just terrible games. I mean, outside of the Patriots and the Jets, which really isn't that fun because Rex Ryan isn't the Jets coach anymore, I would say, I guess the Sunday night Chiefs and Broncos is the best we're going to get. Yeah,
the Chiefs Broncos, yeah. Because I can't. Panthers, Raiders, there's some intrigue there, but I can't sit and watch Cam Newton play football for 4 quarters. So,
sure.
Yeah, Chiefs Broncos gets it.
I'm going to say, and this is just so hard to predict, but the over-under on points Thursday, Thanksgiving, between all 6 of these teams, I'm going to say is going to be under 160. Like, it's going to be a very poor output of points. We'll see some, like, 21-10 games, 17-14. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
Like, the Cowboys-Redskins could be a shootout or a blowout either way, but the other two are definitely feel like low score. Well, I don't know, man.
Steelers and Colts will probably be pretty high scoring because both defenses are so like just not that good. Vikings and Lions at 12:30. I don't even know if I'm going to watch that damn game. I'm serious, man. I don't even think I'm going to watch it.
It feels anti-American. It's against my religious not to watch football on Thanksgiving, but my God, what a slate.
Yeah, but Grant, you got so many Packers Super Bowls on tape. Just watch one of those during that game or something.
Brother.
But anyway, let's see here. So, so that's going to do it. That's going to wrap up our football talk here because I don't want to, we're both pretty bummed out to this point. And, it's just a whole bunch of ugliness. And I honestly see the Eagles dropping about 5 in a row coming up here. I just feel it in my bones. But let's now go towards the WWE as this is the Wrestling with Football podcast, where we're also going to talk about pro wrestling, especially the professional kind that is WWE. We don't really talk about much of anything else, I guess, on that level. Overall, so you said earlier that you thought that the show overall was fun.
It was fun, and I will have a different opinion than most, but shows are really determined whether they're good or bad by how they end. And I know in my household, myself and the kid went to bed very ticked off. Of course, I had the Packer game on at the same time, so I was just a miserable grouch on Sunday night.
Yeah, but, 84 seconds.
84 seconds, yep.
84 seconds. That is how long it took Goldberg in his first match since what, 2003? Four. Beat Brock Lesnar, who shouldn't be beaten by anybody, but anyway. So 84 seconds is all it took. Now, I didn't watch it live, thank God. I watched it this morning, and as I was, kind of sort of fast-forwarding through the SmackDown versus Raw main event eliminator, I was seeing how the timestamp was getting closer and closer to the end. And by the time the Goldberg-Brock, just the little video intro started about the feud, there was 9 minutes to go on the damn pay-per-view. And so I'm thinking, is something wrong here? And then I thought to myself, no. I know exactly what their train of thought is here. It's going to be like a UFC main event where you've got the big champion going in against the guy that, there's a story behind him, but he's more than likely going to get beat. And the underdog ends up knocking out the champ in a fluke minute and a half or something like that. And that's exactly what we got. Now, I will say this. Goldberg still looks believable, and I didn't think he would. He still looks like a viable heavyweight, and, I mean, pretty much this tells us they're fighting each other in Orlando. Do you agree?
They absolutely could. He's going to work the Rumble before Orlando, so it's possible they could wrap up the Brock thing before we get to Orlando.
Why not give him a title shot against the Universal Champ at Royal Rumble and have Brock cost him the title? That's what I'd do.
There's any number of ways you could go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I was expecting, at least like 15. I thought, but I didn't think that they would go for that. And if they would do that, it would have made more sense if it was like match 5 in the smack middle of the card. But you wouldn't do that anyway, because that's why everyone watched the Survivor Series last night, man. They watched to see fantasy wrestling become reality. I'm glad we don't have to hear that shit anymore, or at least for a while, because that got a little old. And then you had guys like Dean Ambrose in promos that were saying it. And I'm like, Dean Ambrose did not sign off on just coming up with, it's a fantasy reality. How he does his shtick. And honestly, man, God, Dean Ambrose being eliminated, second? First. He was the first guy eliminated in the elimination tag match, the main one with the SmackDown versus Raw. I don't know, man. I just feel like Dean Ambrose recently is like, you know, kind of getting lost in the shuffle, even though he's getting like world title matches.
Yeah, the Ambrose thing, the Ambrose early elimination really, I didn't think that was that big a deal.
It was the trend of the night, honestly, if you look back on everything.
Well, I mean, just because Styles was involved and he came back out and, you know, I mean, I think it was absolutely...
I had issues with that too.
That was stupid on many levels, but at the same time, it kind of fit his character. So it's like, okay, I mean, it's stupid, but it fits your character.
It's like, okay, so there are a few things that happened over the weekend to where I'm like, you guys need to figure out what you're doing here as far as the quote unquote rules go. In the NXT main event, Samoa Joe low blows Nakamura, okay, which he shoves the ref out of the way. That's fine. But then he hits a move like a rock bottom on the stairs. Now, if it is considered part of the ring, if the commentary tables are considered part of the ring, I really wish that somehow slyly they could throw it in when that happens, that it's due to the WWE rules, you know, the stairs, the tables, everything on the outside of the ring, the rails, you know, that's considered, you know, part of the ring. Because I always thought the rails were, you know, but it just seems so like, you know, I don't know, out of place, whatever. I think he could have low blowed him, rolled him in the ring, and hit him with the muscle buster, personally. Another thing that I had issues with was, like you were saying, Ambrose coming back out and attacking AJ Styles. If he's out of the match, I figure he's no longer part of that team. But yet Kevin Owens, the Universal Champion, gets DQ'd for using Chris Jericho's clipboard. I just, you know, that just really, like, I don't know. I didn't like any of that shit. Not to mention the fact that it didn't really feel like SmackDown and Raw were fighting for quote-unquote supremacy. You know, instead, you know, they need to make that match, if they do it every year, make it like the MLB All-Star Game. The winning brand gets their brand's world championship in the main event of Mania, regardless. Royal Rumble winner just gets a shot at his brand's respective, or whichever brand's world title. But, you know, that should mean something. I think that if they did that, you know, it would just bring a lot more to these elimination matches again. Do you agree?
Yeah, actually, I like that. I never thought of that idea, but having something meaningful come out of that match other than just simple bragging rights would be a good hook for it.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're going to come into Raw tonight, and, you know, I'm sure Stephanie's probably going to address the entire roster somehow and be like, you know, we did everything, you know, we were supposed to do except what we needed to do at the very end, you know, and all that kind of shit. I'll watch that probably tomorrow morning. I like to watch AM Raw, like watch my DVR wrestling the next morning when I wake up. But other highlights of the show for me, I mean, I love the ladies, man. They do such a good job, man. That was probably the best match of the night.
Oh, God, no, dude. Oh, you know what? The thing with the girls' match is it was well put together. It had a lot of solid ideas, but it was so rushed. I don't even know if it was rushed as much as just the girls rushed themselves some. Yeah. And it just became sloppy. Like if there was so much, you know, if there's so much of just had slowed down and executed the little things better, that match would have been so much better. And it wasn't bad as it is, but it was just sloppy at times, you know. And I hate that, because you can see something that's so close to being good, but it's just like missing that little piece here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I know that there were some things that got choppy, but I felt like when I watched that match, like I was reacting to that a lot more than any other match. on the show.
Sure.
The one thing I wanted to have happen last night would be, and I really want this to happen on Raw, but they probably won't do it. I wanted like Braun Strowman and Nia Jax to walk by each other in the hall and stop and look at each other. Could you imagine if they paired them up as a couple?
I like that, actually.
That would be so awesome. I mean, the more and more I watch Braun Strowman, and the more and more they give him, the more and more like I'm into this guy and I like believe him, Like he eventually is going to have some heel probably try to get his services so he doesn't, like, if Triple H were around now, Braun Strowman would be rolling with Triple H, It'd be like that, the world champion trying to keep his belt protected by being, keep your enemies closer type of deal. And I hope they do that with him, because if they don't put the world title on him of some sort, they're crazy. He's your prototypical, he'd be a great heel champ because he is made by the WWE. He was a power lifter from North Carolina, and a strong man, and they bring him in, they train him, and then they create this like persona who in the beginning was trying to figure out like what he was, and I think the people were too, and now we understand that this guy is a force. And if they put him in that direction of being, a top guy, I think he's gonna be, he's gonna thrive.
Braun has become one of my absolute favorite guys to watch. One of those guys that I don't need a DVR past. Like, he's fun to watch. The callback with him and Ellsworth with the promo and his elimination on Survivor Series may have been my favorite moment of the entire night. And I don't know if you've seen the little clip where he's working Big Show on the house shows here lately, but they're like doing arm work and whatnot, and Big Show powers him down, and they do the thing where Braun does the kip up out of it, back to the standing. It was like, okay.
Well, he did a drop kick last night, like a lucha drop kick. Like, that was awesome, man. I mean, he's, I know too, I just see him like, he probably takes direction really, really well. Sure. I don't think he's gotten to that go on the fly stage that you eventually get to. But all in all, man, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's ready yet, but don't put like a U.S. title or any bullshit on him. Like, save it. Just save it. Because he could, I mean, I would Money in the Bank. I'd throw the Money in the Bank on him,
I'm not saying, this is not a prediction at all, but I'm just saying, and this would not be good for Braun, but if they ever come to an agreement with Hogan again,
oh God,
I mean, back in '87, that's your dream matchup. That's another monster heel for Hogan.
Oh, Braun Strowman would have been so awesome in like 1989.
Yes.
He would be like, or not even, he'd be like that guy that was around, and because Hogan was busy doing other things, he could come back to every time, kind of like Earthquake, was there for a little bit. But yeah, Braun's so cool. So Braun Strowman is definitely one of our favorites. And my favorite tag team in WWE looked awesome last night in the tag eliminator, which I thought was done okay. And that's the Uso brothers, man. They pinned the New Day.
Dude, that was an awesome way to start that thing. Actually, I love that. It's a toss up for me as what match of the night was, but that 20-man tag was really good. And the only real disheartening part was American Alpha getting eliminated so early. But even saying that, they at least got some really good shine in before they got out.
Yeah, I just wish, I don't know if they just haven't tapped it yet, but I just wish American Alpha, had just more, Jason Jordan just doesn't, seep that charisma. He doesn't have that charisma just, flying off of him that Chad Gable does, And but you find that with tag teams, babyface tag teams in particular. There's always one guy out of the two that isn't as charismatic, I guess.
They're not as charismatic, but they're such a good combination.
Yeah, I agree. Jumping back to Saturday night.
Yes, I was hoping that was going to be the segue.
Yeah. Going back to Saturday night. What did you think of the NXT Toronto takeover?
I mean, was it the greatest tag match in American history or no?
I mean, it was a great match, but geez, dude, like you're like, you know, I mean, you're being sarcastic, I guess. You're being or not facetious, but
you know what?
You're being
okay. Much like Goldberg beating Lesnar, like the finish, I was like, I liked the idea and I love the execution, but I, you know, as a mark or whatever, I'm cheering for Brock. So I wasn't happy with the Goldberg squash. The tag title match, I'm cheering for the Revival, you know? So at the end, I have that feeling of, oh, you know, it's disappointment, even though I know in reality I had just watched something great. So I think for me personally, I enjoyed the Brooklyn match more because it was more satisfying to me as a mark at the end.
Sure.
But that said, like, the epicness of the three falls, I mean, there are a lot of people that, like, truly feel that it may be the greatest, like, at least WWE, you know, tag match of all time.
Here's the thing that's killing me right now about watching the WWE and just paying too much attention. I don't like the when it comes near the end of the match and they lock on a submission move, you can hear the ref tell the guys, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Have you heard that yet? Just the referee being like, not yet, guys, not yet, not yet. Okay, you know, and then they tap out. Like, I'm like, what the hell? Or reach for the rope, one of the two. I'm like, what? You know, like that kill. And that's what, like, you know, hearing that sort of thing or like seeing it out of the ref there near the end, because I mean, that was a very tough finish to pull off for that tag match, you know, simultaneous submissions. You know, both guys that are taking it, you know, have to be looking at one another and being in sync, you know. And it's really hard to sit there and milk it without, like, somebody going ahead of the other. It's like, I knew that was the end once they got to it, you know. And I wanted the end of the match to be like, what? And I honestly thought the Revival were going to beat them again.
I did too. But I like, you know, if you watch when Tully and Arn used to get caught in the figure four, one of them would reach over and they would lock hands.
Yes.
And they would basically pull one out of the hole.
Right.
And when Scott and Dash locked hands, I thought they would end up pulling one out and saving it that way.
Yeah.
Well, at least that was my hope. But it was still a beautiful finish.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was cinematically, you know, it looked it was a great shot, you know, great camera work done there. They didn't cut away to faces or anything like that. They kind of pretty much stayed in that frame. And overall, I mean, gosh, man, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano is not a tag team that I thought I'd be like, you know, watching, you know, like 3-4 years ago when they were on the Independents or whatever, just because you didn't think of those two, like, you know, their styles, you know, are different. But when I watch them together, it's either they're working with one another to where they're developing like basically what I'm saying is both of them are doing shit that the other guy has done in the past, you know, if you watch their body of work. And they're like basically they're like the way people talk about like Ricky Steamboat being a chameleon back in the day, like whoever he got in the ring with, he would, you know, acquiesce. And they have acquiesced as a tag team with one another so well that I hope that they're not just putting the belts on them to drop them to the Authors of Pain, because I'm just not really that impressed with those guys at the end of the day.
No, I mean, I cannot. You know, it's a situation. NXT is so weird because if guys get caught up and that's who needs to have the belts, that's fine, because whoever then beats the Authors of Pain, that will be a great moment for that babyface team, whoever that babyface team is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like Authors of Pain, are we talking about a team that should have them for a year, the belts for a year, like the Revival? No, it's not that. It's not that kind of team at all.
No, yeah, I think that them more so than Gargano and Ciampa are transitional champs, but Gargano and Ciampa, they're going to have the belts for a while because they've definitely got to give the Revival their rematch, at the next takeover, which I'm guessing is what, Royal Rumble probably weekend, you would say?
Yeah, well, that's official from now on. The big four pay-per-views
has a takeover.
I'll have the takeover.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we could get maybe down here for WrestleMania weekend, we could get DIY defending the NXT tag belts in like a four corners tag match with the Authors, with the Revival, and TM 86, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't remember their names. And those are two guys too. Super nice guys. But as characters, I wish they had more, they don't have like they're still kind of robotic, I guess you could say. Guys
they haven't made that connection yet.
Yeah, and guys like that are phenomenal in like Japan, in Europe and stuff like that. But in the WWE, they need a little bit of character. And I'm getting worried that we're now getting back into the we're starting to get into the gray area. With guys, with wrestlers, and it's fine to get rid of like the truck drivers and the trash men and all that kind of stuff. But you need a little bit of like outlandish characters, and I feel like right now the WWE, outside of like vignettes with Goldust and R-Truth backstage or whatever, they don't really have anybody that's really like wild,
I think a lot of that too has to do with so many of these indie talents that have come up. You can't
change them.
Yeah, they keep referencing Sami Zayn as a paper boy, I guess. And I think 10 years ago, Sami Zayn brought up legitimately is a paper boy. But now, because of kind of the way it's bought, like people won't buy into that, so it's more like just your heel commentator is kind of alluding to it, as to where 10 years ago he really would have been Paperboy.
Yeah. Now, moving forward, was like Jericho's response to the Undertaker just Jericho being Jericho, or was this they just said it on TV, or do you think that's who Undertaker's going to fight at Mania?
I would not think. I mean, Taker will do whatever.
Sure.
I don't see Jericho. I don't see that being a Mania match for Taker. But if Taker, if Taker's back on any kind of semi-regular schedule, Jericho's a fine opponent for the Rumble or Roadblock or whatever other
Roadblock in your house.
Yeah.
Beware of dog.
Exactly.
They're doing that again. So anyway, well, all in all, Survivor Series, it was like, a C. I don't think it failed. The Cruiserweight title match was pretty good, man. Kalisto, I think, doesn't get as much credit as he should.
I agree.
And the Brian Kendrick's promo before the match, that little video deal they did was fantastic. I really wish Brian Kendrick, if I was writing for the character, he's the man with a plan. And eventually we're going to all find out what that plan is. And he's going to tell us it's not just winning the Cruiserweight Championship. I'm about to change this entire company. I know things. He's that type of character, But anyway, I'm just, fantasy booking 101. But anyway, so CWF's got Road to Battlecade coming up, right? That's the next show?
We have 4 shows in December, which is like the first time ever. Yeah. Road to Battlecade, although I'm not calling it Road to Battlecade, and this is not official or anything like that, but one episode on the December 3rd event, half of that will be a Christmas episode. So I'm not calling it Road to Battlecade. I'm calling it A Very White Mike Christmas.
Shut up.
I'm dreaming of a very White Mike Christmas.
Are you doing this for me, or are you just smart as hell?
No, me and Stutzy, like, we were at the building earlier before
He's doing
Survivor.
a Christmas special?
We are going to have a Christmas episode of CWF Worldwide, yes.
Are the Killbillies and Matty De Niro going to be singing?
God, my favorite Christmas. That little I brought this up on Saturday or on Friday. That is legitimately my favorite skit I think I've ever done. Like that and the Manny Garcia at the Gibsonville Fall Festival. But aside from that, those are my two favorite skits I've ever done. I love how that came off, and that was kind of somewhat the inspiration for the creation of this Christmas episode. But yes, like I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
Awesome. Well, good. God, I mean, I can't imagine the guest stars that'll be a part of that. I'm really looking forward to that. I might even get White Mike's autograph when I come up there for Battlecade, which is now December 30th, a Friday night.
Yes.
Which is fine because I don't leave for Roanoke until the 3rd, so that'll be like kind of smack dab in the middle of my winter vacation in Virginia. And I just got a new camera, HD. I got a green screen on the way, and the promo that I'm cutting for Battlecade is going to be insane.
I love it.
It's going to be insane. It's going to be, I mean, Matty De Niro has been wrestling, and I have news, and I have confirmation. He's been wrestling in a completely alternate dimension for the FWC, WAW. I don't know what it's all about. But if I get this video footage and I send it to you, you're going to find out like exactly where he's been for the past year and why he's been there. So it should, I guess that's going to be interesting.
You know, I'm just spitballing here. A fine Christmas present on the Christmas show would be for someone to open up a box and have a promo from a Mr. Matty De Niro pop out of the box.
That definitely could happen by December.
Well, it's tape on December 3rd, but that could be something, you know, that
it's going to air on Christmas or Christmas Eve.
It's actually gonna air like December 14th, I believe.
Okay.
So it'll be, you know, it'll be aired a couple weeks before Christmas, so you can watch it as many times as you want.
Sure.
Leading up to the big day
on CWF Mid-Atlantic's YouTube page, folks. Yes. Check it out. You're a pro wrestling fan. You're gonna dig it the most. Because it's one of the best and most easy to and one of the easiest to watch styles of pro wrestling and production that you're going to see out there on the internets and everywhere else. So yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to a very White Mike Christmas. That is going to be I
got to track down someone with Photoshop and take the old was it Irving Berlin the famous Christmas album cover where it's just his head on the white album.
Yes.
Put White Mike's head, you know, there in the center. And like, I mean, if that's a vinyl you want to pick up at the store.
Oh wow!
Frame that thing on the wall.
Well, I can't wait for that. I can't wait to meet White Mike Jordan. That's gonna be fantastic. Anyway, folks, yeah, so CWF, we're getting to the end of the year. The road to Battlecade has officially begun. And it's going to be a good time. And hey, here's to the Eagles and Packers, and hopefully they're going to give us an entertaining performance this weekend, and I don't care who wins. I just want a good game. All
we got left.
Yeah, exactly. We're more than halfway through this NFL season. But if you want to find out our thoughts on what's going on, please join us again here on the Wrestling with Football podcast. I'm Matt DeSimone. For my co-host Grant Sawyer, we will see you when we see you.